We saw the announcement this morning that CBS has settled for $16 million with Trump. I know you probably can't speak necessarily about CBS, but
Oh, I can speak about
okay, I just wonder for the industry, what do you make of it? I've heard a bunch of hot takes, and I just wonder what you make of the news.
it. So Donald Trump has always tried to bring troublesome reporters and journalism organizations to heel. He's threatened many times to sue me, to which I always say, well, Donald, if you think you have a case, you should file it, which makes him go crazy. And he would never sue me because he knows I can back up with documents everything I say about him. I know a lot of other things that I don't say because I can't prove them to a legal standard. And so, he got ABC News to give him, the owner of ABC News, Disney, $16 million over a bogus issue, a minor misstatement of fact that had no consequence by George Stephanopoulos. He then sued CBS for $10 billion, and then he upped it to $20 billion in damages for what he said was the misleading editing of its interview for 60 Minutes of Kamala Harris during the election. Now, Trump was made the same offer, by the way, and he declined to be interviewed. CBS released the complete unedited material. There's nothing there. There is not the least bit misleading editing of any kind. But Sherry Redstone wants to sell the company her late father built, Sumner Redstone, and she needs approval from the Trump administration to collect and monetize, instead of holding the company, billions of dollars of wealth. And so, got to pay Donald $16 million. Who cares? There's no regard here for journalistic integrity. It's just paying the bill so you can go on with your sale. And this is really absolutely despicable. The organizations that have stood up to Trump have been the New York Times and the Associated Press, which is a nonprofit formed in the 1840s. Most other organizations have just bent and gone along. And Trump understands something very clearly. A free, independent, and vigorous press is horrible for him. He said during the first term and before, you shouldn't be allowed to write things about me that I don't approve of. I don't know how more dictatorial you can get. I mean, we're in many ways, Donald's behavior matches that of the Soviet regime in Moscow, Mao's regime in China. And he understands that if people are educated, he always says, we love the poorly educated. They will see through his lies. That if people have real news that's independently assessed, even if it's 10% of the news, that's very damaging to him, and he can't live with that. And he needs to have his big lies said so often in passing that they just become accepted. For example, the Department of Government Efficiency. There was no Department of Government Efficiency. So they took a little small agency and changed its name to the Department of Government Efficiency. Congress has never authorized any of this. Mm-hmm. And he also knows that most people do not understand the Constitution. We do not require students to really study the Constitution. He said in his first term, I have an Article 2 that says I can do anything I want. Well, Article 2 of the Constitution says the following: the President of the United States will carry out whatever Congress tells him to do as the executive, and he's commander-in-chief of the military. End of story. He's not an independent power source. And yet millions of people believe, and you can see every day people on TV saying, well, he's just doing what the Constitution says. He's in charge. I've interviewed so many people in my life, especially in the last 14 or 15 years, who think the president just declares a law. And they don't understand our liberties and constitutional government. And make no mistake, Donald is simply today consolidating power.